Good
morning, everybody. I hope you'll be laughing as hard as I am soon. We're talking about Tiger and Charlie Woods here on Let's Play every day. You guys, and Tanishka Mhaskar, good morning. Good to see you. See Willi Myles, Darrell Thompson, sponsored us by Northern Lids. Could put that out there right away. Thank you, Northern Lids, and thank you for your continued support. Great product. You guys, I don't ever remember my whole life turning off the NFL to watch PGA golf, and I could not turn it off. And I'm hearing myself on feedback from somebody.
See, Willie's got something going on over there. We gotta get it cleared up.
You still hear it?
Yes.
What happened was that's what happens when you come on. When you come on, my phone alerts me that you guys are on. That's why I'm always watching all the time. So my apologies.
More people should do that.
I know I have it
we need
on
to promote
alert.
that. Yeah.
So as soon as you hit live, it just comes on, and I was like, oh, and then my phone was underneath, and I couldn't grab it quick enough to get the volume turned down. My bad.
It's all right. I'm doing whatever I can to avoid talking about cats. We're going to talk about Charlie and Tiger Woods.
Don't run from it, baby. Don't run from it. Just apologize for what you said at the beginning of the year, and we can just move on with it. Just say, I am sorry. This man is a rock. That's all I want you to hear you say. This man is a rock, and he's the leader of this squad because he's the most consistent player on this team, bar none, period.
See, Willie, I agree. I agree.
7 years. I don't want to hear nothing else about. I love Ant. I think he's a great basketball player, but don't even talk about taking the mantle from a man that I know for a fact carries it like a grown man. I don't care about his whining as long as he's consistent. He's a consistent whiner and he's a consistent performer. Those things equals out.
He's whining
just like Brady, just like Cat last night that was whining, your boy from Green Bay, every call he gets hit. I mean, they do, but as long as they're consistent, as long as they play and bring it every night, that's all I ask of a player. Bring it, and he does consistently. That's what makes you a leader, makes you a great player.
You are correct. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you are correct. No, he came into camp this year. Oh, it's going to be different this year. I listed weights, and all this stuff. I remember Darrell and I talking about that and going, yeah, shouldn't that be part of your thing anyway? I think he has come in, whether it's Ant or the question of whose team it was or whatever that is. He has brought it.
Team it was.
He has brought it every night, and the results are there in not only his game, but in the team's game. And maybe took 6-7 years, to get there, or maybe like you said too, it just took a supporting cast for him to finally be able to be able to show what he is. And last night I felt like Dallas did a lot of things that you would hope they wouldn't have had to do just to try to win that game, and the Wolves held on and they did it. And I want to, talk about a couple other guys too there, because you can't get it done by yourself and he can't get it done by himself.
No.
And McDaniels and Jalen Noel, offensively, defensively, effort-wise. I mean, it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, but that's all I was saying at the end of the day was that you take one of those pieces away, you back at square one. If Cat, you just say, okay, they don't need Cat, they got Ant. Ant's going to be in the same position Cat was in, where he's got to carry the team every night. And then eventually, if you don't win, he gets frustrated and he wants to get traded. But that's the way it goes. When you don't, that's what happened to LeBron James. No matter how good you are, you can't win in Cleveland by yourself. You need to go to Miami, win a championship, come back to Cleveland, bring a truckload of guys with you, win a championship, and then leave, and then go to the Lakers and bring more guys and try to win. I mean, that's what he's doing. I mean, that's the same as you look up at the Warriors. He couldn't do it by himself up there. I mean, you need a really big supporting cast to win championships, and that's what Cat has. And he hasn't had that since he's been there. That consistency. He's had one guy, but he's never had like 2 to 3 guys, and then maybe a guy off the bench that can come off. And you got to go 7, 8 deep consistently, so you could to even get into the playoffs, to even be a contender, to even have people afraid to come to your gym. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of people that casually show up at Target Center and be like, "Yeah, we just trash these kids, kick all their furniture, and leave." Nothing they can do. They don't have the they don't have the manpower. You know what I mean? That's all I was saying. You know, I just don't want
Willie, we hear you, Willie. We hear you,
Yeah,
and you're right.
we do.
And you're right. But I mean, I think having a couple more alphas in the room, the other alpha being Ant, the other alpha being Patrick Beverly. Then you got some role players filling in, because Russell amazingly decided to play defense this year, which is also another incredible feat. He's like, Patrick Beverly's like talking. He's like, you know what, if I explain this to you, if you know where the ball's going to go, it's much more exciting to steal the ball and go the other direction, know people's tendencies, all those different types of things. Like, okay, so it's okay. Sometimes every blue moon, you can be a little bit late to the game. You figured it out. I mean, he might still be with the Warriors if he had figured out how important defense was, but it's okay. We'll take him now. I'm like, he's in his stance. He's playing defense. He's recognizing the action. He's stealing balls, going the other direction. So that's exciting. So Patrick Beverly, Ant, and obviously, Carl is the straw that stirs the drink, but every once in a while you got to have somebody else at the pulled up to the bar. And Ant's he's the type of catch you want to have next to you, pulled up to the bar. So we got a squad.
True.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah,
It's been
that's
especially fun watching Jalen Noel these past few games, stepping up.
Good point, Tebow. Yeah, you're right.
Stepping into it, getting encouragement from the other veterans to go and do that, right? And so that's where we got into this whole discussion. I just felt like Ant brought a different dimension, and maybe Cat hadn't had that. You needed that backup, and it was hard watching Cat. So this is sort of Cat revenge tour. Anthony Davis is beating him up and taking his lunch money since they got together, right? And then the other night, then he leaves the game with the bad leg, but Cat was not intimidated by him anymore. It was going at him. Now, if we see Cat take Joel Embiid to school, then we got something here, because that's the guy who's so still to this day pissed off about the whole draft thing and Cat, and all the rest of it. So that's the one I'm really looking for is, okay, can we get Joel Embiid? That's I hope we still have games. Right? I mean, you look what's happening all around us. So they're supposedly going to go down to Dallas and play the rematch. I want to throw one more Cat thing out to you. Willie, direct quote from Cat. "I'm the greatest big man shooter of all time." That's a fact. Fact or fiction?
Well, I think he should have probably added a little bit more content to that before he said that. Because at this time, I think he is. I mean, I don't know if you want to say of all time. I mean, give yourself a few more years, man. You've only been around for 8, so let's rest that. I mean, I love Big Cat. And does he have a touch? Absolutely. He is. I put him up there with probably at the top 5 of big man shooting, because he has a sweet touch for a guy that handles the rock really well.
No, I mean, there's a shooter. I mean, I don't think you can, go any farther than Kevin Durant. You talk about the greatest big man. I mean, this Kevin Durant actually is 7 feet tall. He doesn't like to admit it to anyone. He's 7 feet tall. Right. So Cat, he might be the greatest center, shooting. Wilt wasn't, but Wilt didn't have an opportunity. Yeah. If Wilt had the opportunity, I'm sure he would have done it, because there was absolutely nothing that Wilt Chamberlain couldn't do.
Right. Well, Tim Duncan wasn't bad either.
No. But
there
was all of that era where if you're putting those shots from your coach is going, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be under the basket."
Right. That's a new era now. I mean, if I say he's up there, but I wouldn't etch his name in the trophy right now. I mean, you need to polish it up a little bit more, a few more years, man, because there's a few guys ahead of you, man. Like you said, DC, I 100% Kevin Durant. That was the first guy that came to my mind. I mean, like, come on, bro.
Well, at least he's making a statement. That's good.
He is, but that's you like to hear. He's confident. When you go out there, when you've been shooting from the outside as long as he has been, I mean, he has a complete game, man. The dude can handle a rock. He can play inside, outside. He's not really a true banger.
No. And you said to add the context to this whole thing too, Willie, I think is fair, because I think he makes a statement like that if he's looked at some sheets that have some sort of statistical breakdown of how he is shooting the ball. Mm-hmm. I don't think he says that unless he's got something that he's seen that gets him to do that. I think so. Tanishka, what's going on with the NHL? Is the Wild going to be able to play anybody that's not from the United States after tonight's game against Dallas?
I really don't think so. The game against the Red Wings later this week also got postponed, so that takes you to the holiday break. So I guess hopefully they're able to play the Winter Classic because we haven't had an outbreak, thankfully, and I don't think the Blues have either. But so hopefully people just stay safe over the holiday break because I know they had to postpone the Winter Classic last year. But hopefully it doesn't come to that this year. And yeah, I guess today would be their first game in like 5 or 6 days, whatever it is, because of the Saturday game getting postponed too. So I guess this might be their last game for the year because the Winter Classic's not till January. So they are in that like 3-game losing streak right now, even though they did get a point last Thursday. Tonight would be a really good one to win just because it's against somebody in your division too, and just to get this ugly taste out of your mouth because going on a slide right now, especially the Blues and Avs catching up in the division, isn't really ideal.
And in a day when we have a work stoppage in baseball, it's interesting to watch the NHL and the NHL Players Association work together. And they together said they've shut down 7 teams. And Detroit being who we're supposed to play on Thursday being the 6th, and then Toronto was the 7th, and no more travel across the border. And I think you're going to be looking at that, the United States government and the Canadian government. And are we going to have travel across the border between these, 2 countries? And are these teams going to be involved? And how's that going to go? And the NHL is not the NBA. It's not Major League Baseball. It's definitely not NFL football. And you look at those organizations don't want to lose games. The NHL, they can't afford this. But I don't know how they're going to send guys to the Olympics and have them quarantine and shut down the league for a month and maybe 2 months if guys are going over there and doing that.
Because the whole thing with the protocol is like 5 weeks if you test positive. And even after the Olympics are over, you'd still be stuck in China at that point. Or if you get it later in the Olympics, then you're going to miss some of the regular season too. So I just don't see how they go with everything that's happening. But it'll be interesting if they do decide to go.
Either way, because I think the Chinese government, if you don't go, they're going to be angry and look at this as another, you're just doing this because. So yeah, this is a lot of big factors working right now. We're this far into it, and we haven't even talked about the Vikings. And we've asked a question: is this a must-win game? About 4 or 5 times on this season. Pretty much, we can put that label on this one, right? They have to win tonight.
They do. I think they might have to win out just to make the playoffs. So. Because the Saints winning last night puts them at 7-7, and they have a really easy schedule. They have like the Panthers. I think they have the Dolphins, maybe the Jets. I don't remember exactly who, but I just remember it being really easy. So, and our final
we can't sneak the Jags in our schedule.
We could lose to them too.
We could. Exactly. We lost to Detroit, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean, today is a must-win game, but you have to beat Chicago both times, which they haven't done since 2017. And then they have to beat either one of Green Bay or LA, maybe both if the Saints win their remaining like 3 games, which they probably could.
Well, at this time of year, it was interesting watching the Buccaneers game last night. It's must win when you're a winning team. If you're a winning team and you have a successful record, then it is must win. You expect to win. So obviously it's must win time. If you got, 4 games left in the season, 5 games, whatever is left right now in the season, then it's must win time, because those guys are playing. I want to have home field. Say, no, actually, I want to be in the playoffs. I want to have an opportunity. So yeah, it's must win time right now. It's absolutely must-win time for the Vikings, and they got a rookie quarterback. They got a coach that's on the hot seat, so they got some things to deal with. But if Dalvin Cook can play, and if everyone else can kind of play, I think we got the Vikings have more than a chance tonight against the Chicago Bears, even though their defense is superb, I believe.
Well, the defense has just been so rattled with COVID cases for the Bears. I think their entire starting secondary is out.
Ouch.
So I'm just saying, if Kirk Cousins struggles to move the ball against this defense, I will not have some very good tweets tonight.
Well, weather's going to be a factor tonight, Tanishka. That is one of the weirdest places to play. I played there a couple times, and it can be, and it's a night game, and it's a very uncomfortable, windy, and there's a reason it's called the Windy City. It's not a comfortable place to play. So it's a big play action type of night. Get the ball to the tight end, get the ball to the receivers in the underneath game and the over routes and things like that. So I hopefully, I'm obviously not the offense coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, or I wouldn't be here this morning, but I would believe that would be part of the game plan, because you can't just drop back and toss the ball.
Not against that defense.
Right.
No.
Right. No, there's a lot of bodies underneath that field, at Soldier Field, man. There's a lot of bodies. There's a lot of history, and that's that field and Lambeau Field are two of the fields. I mean, you played at Lambeau, so there's so it's a lot of history there. And them cold game nights, those night games that are so chilly, and when you're struggling, you just want the game to end. You're not really you feel them Hanks crawling up on you, man. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. Darrell knows what I'm talking about. Hanks are ghosts, the ghosts of the past. They just start crawling up on you. But at the end of the day, I don't see the Vikings winning that game. I really don't. I just think I listened to you guys this morning. I'm with Kevin. I want them to win. It just doesn't have I just don't think they have the formula to go in there, even to beat a second-string Bears team on the road.
Did you see the Saints winning on the road last night with their backup fullback quarterback against potentially the greatest quarterback of one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Tom Brady in his own house?
It was bizarre. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I think it was the most bizarre thing he's ever seen. I mean, he didn't have his tools out there with him, but at the end of the day, he's still Tom Brady. You still at home, and you still should have figured out a way to win. But they didn't. That defense, that New Orleans defense, was epic, to say the least. I mean, they were all over him, and I've seen Tom Brady look like the rookie Tom Brady last night, man. Like when he first started he was making some really bad decisions, and
when you have that much ball pressure, I mean, that's like even in basketball. How do you stop the post game? Well, you don't let the guy be comfortable and just lob the ball to the guy's hand. So they have ball pressure on him from their defensive ends, and then Lattimore and the rest of that defense, they were on and they were aggressive. They were jumping routes, and they knew they didn't have time. So when you don't have time, you throw shorter routes. So I'm going to jump the short routes. So they were aggressive. They were on him the whole time, and it just made for a long night. Yeah, and his weapons were like literally dropping like flies. It was like a war zone. Like, oh, take Willie off the field. Oh, take Darrell off the field. Hey, take Tanishka off the field.
I mean, it was nice to see them look mortal.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they just marched down. I mean, the guy just scored at will. And it was nice to see a team come in there and make them fight.
The Saints have some voodoo magic against them. I don't think Brady's beaten them in the regular season once.
Like 4 of the last 5 they've won in that series.
Yeah, and the playoff win was literally the result of the Saints just turning the ball over multiple times, and it was just easy for them. Like, I don't know, that game just seemed fluky to me.
So it was interesting watching that last night. Getting back to the Vikings, and we haven't really gotten into it yet either. And I really am surprised by the lack of mentions of this. So the NFL has sent the Vikings to Chicago for primetime games in 5 of the last 6 years. You think they don't know that the Vikings struggle in these games? And especially there's number 8 and his record of being a noon starting quarterback versus being a 3 p.m. starting quarterback versus being a 7 p.m. starting quarterback are remarkably different. And he's got a situation tonight where he doesn't have Adam Thielen, but they don't have any of their 4 starting defenders in that defensive backfield. Darrisaw's back at that blindside spot. Number 8 needs to perform tonight. Number 8's future as a Minnesota Viking, I believe, rides on the outcome of this game tonight.
I actually agree with that because the Vikings always struggle to run the ball in Chicago. if they have Dalvin or not, it honestly doesn't even matter because Akeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman always they always play really well against us. So it's gonna come down to the passing game, and it should because the Bears are so outmatched in the secondary, even with a healthy Bears team. But especially after what Jefferson did to Johnson last year, it's just been a good matchup for us. But without him and the rest of their starters, there's really no excuse to not be able to throw the ball and keep the chains moving because you're not going to be able to depend on the run game, even if they try to establish the run, which they probably are.
Darrell, we have a couple minutes left, and I do want to get back to this whole Charlie and Tiger Woods thing. Blaze Andrews, one of the Gopher offensive linemen, announced last night via Twitter that he will declare for the NFL draft. And he's one of these guys who's been here forever. He's from Marshall. He's 6'6", 335 pounds. He could have returned for his sixth season. No, go. You're supposed to go to the NFL draft. Is this a guy who has a future in the game?
Oh, absolutely. From everything that I've heard and I've understood, and I'm not an offensive lineman like technician, but I do believe that he's talented. He's got the grit, and he's been on the radar for really probably the last 3 years from NFL scouts and the PFR or PR, whatever the kind of ranking from the NFL. So it does make sense for that for him to consider. Well, actually not consider, but to put himself in the draft. And he's been here for a long time. He's got his degree, very smart man. I mean, he's going to be successful regardless. And I just think there comes a time you just look at the amount of, hits a body can take. And it just makes sense for him to, probably to enter the NFL draft.
And just think that you guys played this game, both at the college level and then Darrell, you played at the pro level. He's 6'6", 335 pounds, and he's a guard. I mean, guards used to be like 6'2" and 310 or something like that. And they moved and they ran. I mean, now it's like, my God, everybody's this game just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Well, there's so much science to what goes on now. The eating, the exercise, the stretching, the practice. And I was watching something last night. They're not having 2-a-day practices. So you're allowed to get bigger, and the body's much, much more taken care of than it was, 15, 20 or 30 years ago. So it's just not the same amount of the pounding, the hitting. They're like, we want you to perform on game day. We're not going to beat the tar out of you during the week.
So I want to come back to, if we can, just with a couple of minutes we have left, this whole thing about the PNC championship where Tiger and Charlie Woods played together. And so I'm watching this, having one reaction. Like I told you, I kept laughing because it was absurd. See this 12-year-old, they had 16. Charlie hit 65 or 66 yards in front of from the tee box in front of Tiger. He's 12. Tiger did not reach his drive. What? And it was striped right down the middle. And I'm just laughing because this whole thing is absurd. My wife is like watching every one of his, but he never smiles. Tiger, touch him or say, good job or something. Don't just be stern. So my wife's freaking out. Like, this boy's being like, programmed to be this robot, whatever. And I'm like, no, he's got all the good stuff. You know what I mean?
Train like Earl. Train like Earl.
Right.
Like Earl.
Hope he's got enough Elin in him and not enough Earl.
Yeah.
He's out there putting that intimidation factor on them people. It's like his dad did back in the day. You know what I mean? Look, this kid has watched probably just a ton of film on his father. So he sees his mannerisms. Everything is the same. And look, if you're going to learn from somebody, that's the guy you got to learn from. And if you want to be good in this game, you got to be focused. This is not people say it all the time. We hear it all the time. This is not a game. I mean, it's a game, but it's not a game. You got to keep your head, straight. You can't be on a swivel when you golf. I mean, you got to stay focused on what you're doing and watching him pound that ball like he did, man. And to see Tiger back out there again, like I said, the competitiveness in that man is like, he's not going to go out like everybody keeps saying, well, he's done now. No, you don't say that to someone like him or Jordan or Bird or whatever. These guys have so much competitive vigor in them that they're going to go out on their own terms. That doesn't mean he needs to win again before he retires. Just go back out and play and be competitive. And watching his son play, I mean, Tiger's going to be in the senior league, and his son's going to be on PGA. They're going to have to match up one of these days because Tiger's going to come back down and have to play him. And you can imagine them being paired up one day. That's going to be epic. I'm sure he's looking forward to that.
No question. The kid, you wouldn't have thought there were any television cameras there at all yesterday. And that's something Tiger never had. When he was playing as an amateur and that, he didn't have that sort of, here's the camera following you up and down the fairway. And this kid, no reaction to it.
No.
Phenomenal.
Dad's probably taught him. You don't pay attention to the camera. Don't pay attention to what people are saying. I liked how he interacted with the people he was playing with. He acknowledged them and so forth and so on. But that's just the way his dad was back in the day. You know what I mean? And just play your game. Stay focused on what you're doing and watching them play. And it's the same with John Daly and his son. Plays just like his father. I mean, it's uncanny.
And John Daly with the green shirt and the red and whatever pants, was he not just bad Santa?
He was terrible. It was comical. It was funny.
Unbelievable. And you could tell that he wanted to win that game too, because this is a guy who hasn't smelled the winner's circle in forever, but how many shots did he strike down the end? You could tell John was playing to win, and you're right. His son is a good sized kid and hopefully gets all the good and none of the bad.
No, you don't get that. You get all of it, man. That's the way it rolls. But that's just it's always comes down to the decisions you make at the end of the day. I think anybody on this 4 boxes we got here would trade our situation with Tiger Woods. So yeah, you live, you die. That's the way we're nobody's perfect.
No. I'm close.
Yeah.
I'm closer than most.
Yeah.
Perfect? Yeah, I don't like him. Almost. Yeah. But if Tanishka wasn't here, I'd be in better shape than you two. I'd be in first place, but I got to believe she's a good person.
Oh, she is, no doubt. There's no question.
I don't know. I'm just going by what I hear on the street.
You're just going to take it, Tanishka. You're not going to, you're just like, okay, that's good for me.
Can't get her to bite, man. It's like a big escaped trout. I can't get her to get on that hook.
Anybody got anything they want to plug before we're done here?
No, it's the end of the year. Things are good, man. We're just trying to keep on pushing.
Everybody's doing the holidays as normal. I went to a party on Saturday for a niece of mine, and I went to it, and I kept the whole time. I'm like, man, we shouldn't be here. We should be wearing masks. This is a mistake. I shouldn't be here.
You all shot up and boosted it up?
I am.
Good. You're all right. I didn't mean to ask you that over there, but
that's fine.
Good. Wear your mask, man. Wear your mask, and if you're around, my wife and I went to the Dakota Jazz last night and saw Robert Robertson do his Christmas thing, and it was nice. And they had, separate. It was like a vax only crowd. You had to show your vaccine card, and it was masked when you walked in until you got to your table. There was no one else sitting out there. They had separate tables and so forth. And so we enjoyed a nice night out. And we love Christmas concerts, and that's what we did, man. So it was like. Well,
thanks for the invite. Really, I love a Christmas concert too. But
do you, man? Well, now I know.
A little scotch could have a little. Yeah.
See, yeah, man. I didn't know you guys. Everybody love Christmas like I do. I love holidays, man. I grew up down south, man, and that's Christmas is bliss.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Love everybody, man. Get on with your life.
A lot of good food. Yeah, that's important. Yeah,
there is that. Yeah, there is that. All right, you guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you joining. I'm going to see you guys, I guess, I think all of you, multiple times throughout the course of the week. And I thank you for your time and your input, and can't wait to break down this Vikings game tomorrow. Should be something to talk about.
I look forward to watching.
I'll be following Tanishka on Twitter. I'll figure it out. I don't have to watch the game. I can just listen to her. She tells me everything going on play by play.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be checking that out for sure. Where can people find your Twitter account, Tanishka?
Oh, it's just my name, Tanishka Mhaskar.
And people have tried to take that before from you, so make sure it's the real. You get the real Tanishka, like the real Forno.
Oh, yeah.
What's the tea? What's the coconut? It's tea coconut or something?
Oh, I just like that emoji. There's literally no significance.
You got us thinking though, which is good. We need to think at all times.
I'm thinking tea nut.
All right, you guys, thank you. Have a great day. We hope to see you right back here tomorrow. Once again, 9:30 on Let's Play every day. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you.